Welcome on my channel. If you don't know me, I am Lou, a travel photographer, and I teach photo retouching to photographers like you. And today I'm going to explain you what are the blending modes inside of Photoshop and how to use them. This video is exclusively for photographers. I'm going to talk only about the blending modes that are interesting for us. So let's jump into Photoshop. So blending modes, as you can see here, we have the layer panel, and each layer that is in the layer panel will have a blending mode. And by default, usually for all layers, the blending mode is normal. So in normal mode, it's just normal, nothing specific happens. You will just have all your layers on top of each other. So it's the same for the adjustments. By default, you have a blending mode, which is the normal one, okay? And now, as you can see here, those are the blending modes. And there are several ones. So first of all, what is a blending mode? Blending mode will allow you to change the way layers interact with each other. So here, as you can see, this is my first layer. If I change the blending mode, nothing happens because there is nothing under it. So that's completely normal. But here, if I toggle off this layer, for example, here we start to see some changes that I'm going to explain you just now. I just want to explain to you the things that are going to be interesting for you as a photographer. So I'm going to explain you multiply, screen, and soft light and overlay, and also colors, okay? So here I've built something. You can see this is 100% black, 100% white, and here in the middle this is 50% gray. And it's going to help me to explain to you the most important blending mode for us. So here I am on a normal blending mode, which means I don't see what's happening under my layer that is called value. I only see the three different values, so white, gray, and black. And you're gonna see that if I change the blending mode, so here we're gonna start with multiply. What happens is that now I can see what is under the white color, like if that was the normal photo. Then where we had the 50% gray layer, I can see through it, but not completely, but the black is still here. So you can see it's kind of play with the opacity without touching to the opacity of the layer. I'm still at 100% opacity, but with a blending mode of multiply. So how it is interesting is that if you have something completely white on your image and you turn your layer into a multiply blending mode, then everything that is white will be automatically transparent. And that's something that can be really interesting if you want to do a little bit of compositing. So I'm going to show you an example. So here I have some birds, and let's say I want to add them into my photo, but I have the birds that are completely black, but then I have this sky here. And what I could do is to select them, but it will ask me to do a little bit of work. And with blending modes, it's going to be super easy to do. So what we know is that with the multiply blending mode, everything that is black will still show in our image, and everything that is white is going to disappear to be completely transparent. So let's try. I'm going to go to multiply, and we can see we have some transparency, but we still see the sky, so it's not perfect. So what can we do is that we are going to add an adjustment layer to try to make the rest of the sky except the birds completely white. So I'm going to add a curve and to link it with the birds layer. So I'm clicking on this little arrow here. You can see the arrow. And now I'm going to take the highlight and to take it to the left side. And you can see the more I take it to the left side, the more the sky is disappearing because it's turning completely white. I'm going to put this layer into a normal blending mode so you can see what's happening. See, I'm making the highlight so overexposed that it's turned completely white, and now I only have the birds left. Okay, so multiply. So I turn this layer into a multiply blending mode, and now as you can see, I only have the birds left. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and as you can see, there is really only the birds that are left. The initial sky is not there anymore. I didn't use any selection, I didn't use any mask, I only used the blending modes multiply. So once again, multiply, everything that is black will show on the photos and is going to have transparency with everything that is white. Now to perfect this, I'm going to talk about another blending mode. So I'm going to create a new layer. And as you can see here around the birds is kind of yellow orange, and I want to make it match with our sky here. So what I could do maybe is to paint the color of the sky around the birds, but you can see it doesn't really work. It would be quite complicated to blend them inside of the sky. So what can I do? I can use a blending mode for that. It works really well for this kind of thing, color cast, color artifacts. So I go to the blending mode of my layer. I'm going to write color for this layer. I go down to the blending mode that is called color. And what you're gonna see is that if I sample a color in the sky and then I paint on my bird, it's going to match with the color of the sky, okay? And I can do that with the other birds, and that way I don't have this orange color casts. So this is the color blending mode. I'm going to show you another example. Here, for example, so that's just for the example because that would be really crazy to do that. But let's say you don't want to see all those dead leaves. So what you could do is to sample color of one LC leaf, and then you are going to paint the ones that are kind of dead. So you need to be precise, right? And that way you don't have the dead leaves anymore. And that's thanks to the color blending mode. Okay, if I come back to a normal blending mode, you could see there is no transparency, it looks completely fake. Here I am on a color blending mode, it allows me to change the color while keeping some transparency so it's natural. So that's not something I do usually, except if I do some compositing. But this technique is interesting when you have some lens artifact, and we can see here that it's kind of happening around the leaves. You can see there are some green and red here around the leaves that comes from the lens that I use, and that's a good way to fix that. So here that wouldn't be a big deal because I'm really zoomed in, but sometimes around the edges of some architecture might be quite strong, and that's a way to fix those color artifacts if you didn't do it in Camera Raw at the raw development stage. So we saw multiply and we saw colors, and now I want to show you the screen blending mode. So here you can see we have a black background with some fog on top of it, which are white. And if I turn my blending mode into a screen, you can see I don't see the black anymore. So I'm going to show you with the value first. So here you can see there was multiply. We kept the black. And now with screen, that's the opposite. We keep the white, but everything that is black is now transparent, and of course everything that is gray is kind of in the middle. So which means that if you have a black background, is going to be transparent, and everything that is white is going to show. So here you can see if I want to add some fog, this is a great way to use the screen blending mode. And now I am going to show you the last one that we are going to use. It's going to be interesting for you to understand how dodge and burn works, how sharpening works, how I make the glow in the image. This is the overlay blending mode, and you can see here, so we have the 50% gray color, and you can see that on the overlay blending mode, this is completely transparent. Where we add the white is kind of overexposed, so it's brightening, and where we add the black, it's underexposed, this is darkening. So multiplying and screen, you can see that the overlay blending mode, it affects all the values, so black, white, and gray. And here is a little technique. I told you it's not only the layers, but also the adjustment layers that are affected. So if I choose maybe a curve and I put it on an overlay blending mode, you can see that it's adding a contrast automatically, because it's going to brighten the highlight and to darken the shadows, so the blacks. So yeah, that's one way to use contrast. Honestly, I never ever used it that way, but it's something interesting to know about blending modes. Actually, same with multiply. You can see it's darkening your image, and screen will brighten your image with just a curve without doing any adjustments. So yeah, if you had to remember just one thing, is that the blending modes will allow you to change the way layers interact with each other. I would recommend to just play around with them